All right, welcome back to video question here in number 5. Here we are going to get into factoring when a is equal to. Now, we can factor with a being any number, okay? But it gets complicated depending on what numbers it is. So for this year, we're just going to focus on, we've already done when a is 1, right? And we're going to focus on when a is 2, when a is 3, when a is 5, okay? And you're going to see that the reason we skipped 4 here, like 4 ends up being trickier because 4 can be 4 times 1, it can also be 2 times 2. So we're going to just focus on this, and normally we'd go a little bit beyond this in Algebra 1, but really in Algebra 2, you're going to get way beyond this, okay? So, and remember what we're talking about when we talk about this is our A right there, right here, right? So we've already learned to factor when it's 1. We've already learned to factor when this a is 1, when there's nothing there, okay? But this is the number that we're going to make either 2, 3, or 5, and we're going to see, okay, how does that impact how we factor? Okay, now, remember that we have already made some observations when we multiply, and what we've observed is that when I go, right, when I start with a multiplication problem that looks like this, that these two numbers, the numbers sitting here and here, right, multiply to this term, it's usually something times x and x, and that these two numbers sitting here and here multiply to this term, to the c, right? So we've already observed that. And so now we're just doing the reverse, right? So we already observed that on these notes, that this times this is this, and this times this is this, and we're going to use that observation in reverse, right? So now when I start with this, focus this. When I start here, I know that these two numbers are going to multiply to this number here, and these two are going to multiply to this number here. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. Okay, and this is tricky, and you're going to see it's not so much just something you need to follow step by step, but something you sort of need to understand what's going on with it. Okay, and you're going to notice that there is no negative numbers in this video or in this assignment. We're going to start with positives only. Okay, so I'm going to set up my two parentheses. Okay, so here's what I know. This number right here is going to be formed by multiplying this times this. So how am I going to form 2x squared? Well, what two numbers multiply to get 2? The only way I can multiply and get 2 is 2 times 1, right? Now, it's x squared, so it's going to be 2x and 1x. So 2 times 1 is 2, and x times x is x squared. Okay, so I've set these. Okay, those are set. Now, the other thing that I know is that these two numbers are going to multiply to this number. So these two numbers are going to multiply to 5, right? These two numbers multiply to the c. So these two numbers are going to multiply to 5. Now, here's the thing. There's actually two possibilities. And I'm going to try them both, and I'm going to write down both of my attempts. Okay, but we're going to do positive 1 and positive 5. We're only working with positives right now. I'm going to show you both attempts, and then I'm going to show you in the next example how I don't actually write out both tries, because that's annoying. But what I want to show you is that there's actually two possibilities here, right? And I want you to write this down this time so you can see. These two numbers multiply to get 2x squared. Check. These two numbers multiply to get 5. Check. Okay, oops, sorry, this was off camera. And same here, right? 2x times x is 2x squared, and 5 times 1 is 5. So both of these meet those requirements that I've already given, okay? So now here is where this middle term comes into play, because I need to see which of these answers gives me that 7x, okay? And only one of them does. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to multiply to check, right? So for this middle term, you kind of guess, and then you multiply to check. Okay, let me show you what I mean. So here's my one possible answer. I'm going to multiply, I'm going to do the opposite of factoring to check it. So I'm going to do 2x times x, I get 2x squared, 2x times 5, that's 10x, 1 times x, that's 1x, 1 times 5, that's 5. So when I combine these like terms, I get 11x. Right? So that's 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. Is that what I want? Nope. So this is not correct because it doesn't get me the correct middle term. Let's try the other one. Hopefully it works. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 1, that's plus 2x. 5 times x, that's plus 5x. And 5 times 1, that's plus 5. When I combine these two terms, that gets me 7x, which is what I want it to be, right? I want it to be a 7x right there, like in my original problem. So see how when I multiply this, that gets me back my original problem? That's how I know that this is the correct answer, okay? And this is not. Even though it met this first requirement, it doesn't get me that middle term correctly, okay? So I'm going to do another example, and I'm going to show you how I would do it. Like I showed you this so that you could visually see both tries, but I'm going to show you, I don't really write out those 2 tries because that would take too long. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I do, and you're going to need for sure a pencil and not a pen. Something you can erase, because you're going to see there's a lot of erasing involved. Okay, so here's what I know first. I'm going to set up my parentheses. I know that these 2 have to multiply to be 5x squared. So I know right off the bat there's only one way to multiply and get 5, and that's 5x times 1x. So I know this is set in stone. Okay, now these 2 numbers have to multiply to get 12. Okay, now 12 is trickier than this 5 was over here, because 12 could be, and I'm going to write out all the pairs, could be 1 times 12, could be 2 times 6, could be 3 times 4. Now that's a lot of possibilities because it can be 1, 12, or 12, 1. It could be 2, 6, or 6, 2. Could be 3, 4, or 4, 3. That is 6 possibilities. And I'm not going to write out try number. No way, right? That's crazy. But what I am going to do is I realize everything's positives here, so I'm going to fill in my plus signs. And notice I'm just writing regular in pencil. But watch what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to write lightly. So I'm going to start with, let's say I start with 3 and 4. I'm going to just write in 3 lightly and 4 lightly. Okay, why am I writing lightly? Because I'm probably going to erase them. And then I'm going to multiply. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is this. When I do 5x times x, that's going to be 5x squared. And look, I'm writing dark. 5x times x is 5x squared. And when I do this, 3 times 4, whatever numbers I put here, they're going to multiply to 12 because I've already decided what pairs of numbers multiply to 12. So this 12 is also a given. Whatever numbers I put here are going to multiply to 12. So what I'm checking here is about the x terms, right? This term here plus this term here, okay? So I made those lines dark, but watch, I put these numbers light. So watch what I'm going to do. 5x times 4, I'm writing lightly now, is 20x. 3 times x is 3x. When I add these, I'll get 23x. Is that what I want? Nope, I want it to be 32, so that's wrong. I'm going to erase. And just keep track. I just did 3 and then 4, so now I'm going to switch it. I'm going to do 4 and then 3. So here I get 5x times 3, that's 15x. 4 times x, that's 4x. When I add them together, I get 19x. Is that 32? Sure isn't. So 4 and 3 didn't work. I tried it in both directions. I'm going to cross it off. Let's try 6 and 2. Okay, I'm going to start this way. So 6, 2. 5x times 2 is 10x. And 6 times x is 6x. And those add to 16x. Is that 32? Still no. So now I'm going to switch it. I'm going to try the 2 here and the 6 here. 5x times 6 is 30. And 2 times x is 2. Oh, wait. 30 plus 2, that's 32x. And look, that's what I wanted. Okay, so here is my correct answer. There's a 2 here and a 6 here. And there's your answer, right? I factored this, became this, and if I multiply back out, I'll get back this exact expression. All right, it's going to be your turn. Go ahead and set up on page, so we're on page 74 right now. Okay, you might have some space at the bottom, that's fine. But on page 75, or if you want to use bottom 74, that's fine. But just go ahead and set up. You're going to do 6, 7, and leave yourself some space, right? Because remember, you're going to write it out. You're going to have to erase. But go ahead and set up space for 6 practice problems.